Ladies and gents, welcome to UX and this is It's All Coming Out by channel Voidzilla. Yes, I've seen a video from this channel about Trump. This is another Trump video. It's progressing fast enough recently. Like Trump is fighting back. I'm pretty sure he put out a tweet, or was it in his Truth Social thing? I don't know. That even my supporters got duped by this. If that's the case, I don't want your support. Like that's kind of bold because you don't know how many people are basically for this. Like you could lose your whole base. I don't know. So yeah, these things have been moving out really fast. Something else came out, I'm gonna guess. This was literally posted 4 hours ago, right? Things are moving so fast. The Voidzilla is making video every day now about this, which is insane. So let's watch this one.
It's all coming out today. The Wall Street Journal not only released an article, today they're getting sued as well for this article about Donald Trump's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. It's
You are releasing article and you're getting sued. How fast things are moving.
It's about a letter Trump sent to Epstein with supposedly a drawing of a naked woman by Trump, along with a little poem which talks about a wonderful secret that Jeffrey Epstein and Trump share. We will go through all the evidence because there's a lot to this. You are very silly if you jump to conclusions on a story this big with this wide of implications. Let's set the stage because we're going to take our time going through this. The president's behavior during the run-up to this Epstein file leak has been absolutely strange.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring.
You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff.
You know, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama.
Even his supporters are like, well, why is he acting this way? It's so weird. All of a sudden it goes from the files exist to they don't exist to they're a hoax actually, and there's a bunch of phony stuff in there. This article, if true, explains a lot of the strange behavior. And we don't know.
Okay, you can go from left-wing people like Obama and Biden are the reason why this list exists, so we're going to release it as soon as I become president too. Oh, by the way, Obama created this list, basically flipping that. Like Obama created all this shit, like this is nothing. It's like when your position are flipped, you're going to flip the statement as well. Before it was like, oh, it's all left-wing are included in this, so I'm going to release the list. Now it's opposite of that. All left-wing just created this as a smokescreen. Like what?
If there's more that's going to come out, if this is all there is, but I'm going to go through the main allegation, and I will call it an allegation because Trump is definitely going to sue over this. He's already said as much. So here's basically the story. Supposedly, Ghislaine Maxwell collected letters from Trump and dozens of Epstein's associates for a 2003 birthday album. It was for his 50th birthday. Pages from the leather-bound album, assembled before Epstein was first arrested, are among the documents examined by the Department of Justice officials. So there are birthday letters to Epstein that supposedly have been seen by the DOJ. They have them in their files. And the one from Trump supposedly has a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. And the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist. The Wall Street Journal goes on to say it's not clear how the letter with Trump's signature was prepared. Inside the outline of the naked woman was a typewritten note styled as an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein. Voiceover: there's more to life than having everything. Donald: yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey: nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald: we have certain...
See that talk like hint, hint. We are at this. We know the secret. I can't write it out loud, but we know the secret. Again, like you can't jump to conclusion from that, but still.
Certain things in common, Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. And the final line is, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may...
Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? As a matter, it's clear last time I saw you. What does that mean? He could mean something, some philosophical way of saying it, or that they're doing Illuminati shit where they're drinking blood or something, thinking they won't age. I don't know what the fuck that means.
Every day be another wonderful secret. Obviously, that is an insane thing to write to what later would be found out to be one of the world's most prolific files. But there's also 2 lines in there which are horrendous. One, enigmas never age. That's just a strange line. It's a very incriminating sounding line. We don't know what it means exactly. And then also we see, may every day be another wonderful secret. Of course, this all written inside the outline of a naked woman kind of tells you what secret they may be talking about.
See, you really need to process this. Like, forget about all this, like who's saying it, which context it is. Anybody saying like every day is a wonderful secret. Why does it have to be secret though? You could say, oh, every day is a new journey. Oh, every day is a like new achievement. Every day is a new mountain to climb. These are like, okay, understand that. Like these are some like the hopeful things. It's like the rock quotes you can think of, like how YouTube is littered with that. But every day is a new secret. Like, first of all, what the fuck you doing that it has to be secret every day? Like,
there. Now we're going to go over Trump's response, and then of course all the evidence, all the denials, what you may want to know before making up your mind. Like I said, this is not a story where you're going to want to snap to judgment. Even now, I think there's still a lot we need to see. But I want to go over Trump's response. He gave an interview with the Journal on Tuesday evening, and he denied writing the letter or drawing the picture. Quote, "This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story. I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women," he said. "It's not my language. It's..."
Let me guess, he's gonna find some evidence of how he draws things, and he's gonna be really on the nose. Like, yeah, Donald is known for drawing things. Is that what's gonna happen? Because this is what happens every time Donald Trump says something. I've never done this, and there are like a million evidence of him doing that.
"It's not my words." He told the Journal he was preparing to file a lawsuit if it published the article. "I'm going to sue the Wall Street Journal just like I sued everyone else." What do we make of this? Before we jump into the evidence, before we jump into all the reactions, both public and of the people involved, let's just talk about what this could mean. The denial puts Trump in a very particular position, because if it later comes out and turns out to be true, it's worth saying the Wall Street Journal did not publish a photo of the letter, which everyone's been asking for. There are a lot of reasons not to publish it. Maybe your source didn't allow it, but that's a huge part that could come out that changes the whole landscape of this, right? If it comes out, it's very devastating, because you wouldn't lie about something like this if you thought it was no big deal, right? The denial actually implies a lot of bad things about what the letter could mean. If you weren't worried about a story like this, if you thought the letter was nothing.
I like how Whitezilla says, Coffeezilla says, like, don't jump to conclusion. He's just like giving conclusion after conclusion, one after another. Like, lie means this, right? Like, oh, this letter means this. Yeah, this is like, in the eyes of law, I don't think this is much of anything. Like, you can give letters to your friends however weird way you want. That doesn't say much, right? And you can sit here in like a bar talk, you can basically analyze things, but officially none of this means much of anything. But at least people have brain cells in their head, I guess, whatever there are left now. Yeah, people can see like, oh, this is like too shady, right? At least that's that.
You wouldn't deny it. You would just give no comment. You certainly wouldn't give an interview. So now we're going to talk about the reactions of the people involved, because it's worth saying Trump is not the only letter mentioned in here. And I think that's really important, because in a story like this, you want to look to what could be corroborating evidence. So Alan Dershowitz is cited in the piece having written a letter that included a mock-up of a Vanity Unfair magazine with mock headlines of "Who was Jack the Ripper? Was it Jeffrey Epstein?" Alan, a former lawyer for Epstein, does not deny this. He says, "It's been a long time, and I don't recall the content of what I may have written." Lex Wexner also supposedly had a letter in there. He declined to comment. Supposedly his letter was, "I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is," after the text was a line drawing of what appeared to be a woman's breast. And then we have a former assistant who was not cited, who sent Jeffrey a letter. "Oh, Jeffrey of Jeffrey, everyone loves you. Fun in the sun, fun just for fun." Pretty innocuous. And then, of course, we have Donald Trump, who denies, of course, the whole thing. So we have some non-denials, some people who just didn't respond, and then we have
everything. A lot of people are talking to Epstein in that way. It's all like sexual, way of saying things, right? Like drawing of breasts, this and that. Basically paints the picture like what he was basically doing. It's not like something he was doing. It's basically all what he was doing. And there's also an element of, I think, like all the heinous shit that we know of might be happening like in backside. Very few people were involved, not all of them. And yeah, he's probably known for something like prostitution or something. When it comes to something like underage or thing, it might have been happening in the like specific room, specific island with only richest people or something. Because this man like his assistant and all those people are just like being fine with it. I don't know why. Like I feel like that can't be true, or at least that's what my last hope for humanity is. Like too many people are involved with this and they're all fine with this happening. Like that just feels weird to me. Rich people being assholes and just being fucked up like that, at least I can process that. But assistants, all this like logistical people, right? Like assistant people who worked for him, this and that, just being fine with it, like I don't know, to me it feels weird.
Trump's the only one who's firmly denying this letter so far, with him doubling down on Truth Social, saying, "It's not my words, it's not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. I told Rupert Murdoch it was a scam and he shouldn't print this fake story, but he did, and now I'm going to sue him in his third-rate newspaper." Now, a couple comments quick on that.
How it works.
One, the Wall Street Journal is not a third-rate newspaper. It's also not a super left-leaning newspaper. Not that that should matter in journalism, but I know people's media literacy, that stuff kind of does tip off their
It does matter in today's world. Like people jump to that. Is it left or is it right? People have to know that. Because the prejudice will be running high. If it's left leaning, like just ignore it completely. Right? Nobody's gonna believe it if it's left leaning. Or is it completely right leaning? Like that would make sense here. But yeah, shit like that. So people look for shit like that. Like, oh, is it central? So maybe let's check it out type of way. And yeah, like they could just cite it like, oh, we think this is from Donald Trump based on this evidence and this paper trail. Doesn't matter if Trump sues them or not. It's their job to put that out. That's how journalism work. So like suing them is not gonna work.
Signals. It's unlikely they're going to publish something they know they're going to get sued for unless they have something. And so here's where I want to talk about a little bit of the circumstantial stuff. So Trump obviously states, "I don't draw pictures," but turns out that's kind of not true. So in a book called Never Give Up, Trump wrote, "Each year I donate an autographed doodle to the Doodle for Hunger auction at Tavern on the Green. It's a great event." And sure enough, publicly you can find several doodles that Donald Trump has done. Most of these are of skylines, architecture. None of these are of...
I just said that. Is it going to be some famous thing that he's known to drawing? And look at this shit. He officially does that. He's not like, oh, we found a picture on his desk or something. No, he does that for a charity event, this and that. Like, look at that with his signature. How on the nose can you be, man? You can't just point blank lie like that, especially in the modern world. Or is it like he doesn't even remember all these things? I don't even understand.
Women. Still, it's strange to say I don't draw pictures when you very clearly draw pictures and they appear to be in thick marker, which is what you were accused of drawing them in. Now, none of that means anything, but it just reminds me a little bit of the Prince Andrew denial. I don't know if you guys remember the sweat denial. A big part of the interview with Prince Andrew was the denial that he couldn't have done anything bad because he couldn't sweat. So this supposedly falsified Virginia Giuffre's whole story.
I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time.
So yeah, that was...
What? If you don't sweat, you better be living in some kind of a freezer or something, or like condensed yourself into a specific room that you can't get out of, and that room has to be preserved in a certain temperature way, like climate control, right? AC and things has to be just right. Because if you don't sweat, you're gonna have heat stroke. Our bodies rely on sweating, doesn't matter who you are, where you are. Imagine if you got fever or something, like, is that real thing? Like, like could be like you don't sweat, that could be one of the disease. But then again, how did he cure it? Like what specific thing made it that? I don't know, man. That's next level shit. I have to like really Google it and check it if that's even a disease or not. Because that's one of those fucked up diseases if it happens. Like you need to be really like in specific room. You know how that certain people have very weak immune system and they have to stay in a certain room? This is that for like temperature. Otherwise you're basically screwed. If you don't sweat like your heat, how are you going to dissipate heat so fast? You're still going to dissipate heat, but you need to do that fast.
Kind of this claim like, hey, this couldn't be true because I don't do X. But actually, we see that
that's what this
Prince Andrew actually does sweat. And in the same way, it's not perfect proof, but you really shouldn't say you don't draw pictures when being accused of drawing thick black marker pictures, when you definitely draw pictures sometimes. I mean, it's just, and it's public. I mean, that's just kind of just an obvious, devastating hole in your whole argument. Now, again, I've got to say, this is just the basics. We do not have the letter, okay? I'm relying on the Wall Street Journal's reporting on this, and we're corroborating with different pieces of public evidence. Ultimately, we need to see if this was actually in the Epstein files. But there are some other stuff, too, that we can look to corroborate this story. So we can look at the bookbinder. So in the Wall Street Journal report, we see a very specific and interesting corroboration. It says the book was put together by the New York City bookbinder Herbert Weitz, according to people involved with the process. Weitz listed Epstein as a client on his website in 2003. So here we have a chance to corroborate externally.
But he
of
died,
course,
though.
it's not a full corroboration, but we have a chance to look to see, was it actually on his website, right? So if we go to the archive, we see in 2003 at weitzcoleman.com, we see a client list, and we see Jeffrey Epstein is listed on it with a different spelling of Jeffrey, I should note. And this says people for whom we have bound up books and albums. This is another piece of circumstantial evidence that makes it hard to believe it's just fully made up. Now, you can believe something in the middle. You can believe that the letter exists and the Wall Street Journal saw it and somebody invented it, right? Like, there are a lot of options here, but the idea that, okay, the Wall Street Journal is just fully inventing this story. They're releasing something with literally no evidence. They're just fabricating it all, but citing all these different people, citing third-party stuff that you can fact-check publicly. That's a piece of evidence to think about. Now, we're going to talk about the public.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this misspelling thing could be, I don't know, like in 2003, like, I'm pretty sure Jeffrey is like Gregory, Jeffrey, that kind of thing. That is how you're supposed to say it. It's an American thing that eventually I'm pretty sure like they turn into J-E-F, Jeff. It's Jeffrey, right? Like there is that pronunciation to it. So maybe they thought that's what, I don't know, like how could you like make spelling mistake? But I don't know. Yeah, or maybe it was deliberate. Like shit happens like, oh no, that was some other Jeffrey. Like, but it's Epstein. How many Epstein you know?
Reactions to this. We have Caroline Levitt, the press secretary, saying the Wall Street Journal published a hatchet job with a fake birthday letter that's supposedly from 2003. This is like the Steele dossier that kickstarted the Russia hoax all over again. The Wall Street Journal refused to show us the letter and conceded they don't even have it in their possession when we asked them to verify the alleged document. They're basing their entire...
That Russia thing wasn't a hoax, right? Just because you couldn't find more detail about it doesn't mean it was a hoax. There was a real tangible thing behind it. Even your own agencies like FBI and CIA said, yeah, that's kind of true, like Russia didn't meddle and all that shit, right? So it wasn't nothing.
Fake story on. Then you have Dan Walken saying the amount of people who think publications, the scope of the Wall Street Journal, just put explosive stuff out about a public figure without well-established authentication procedures and running it through a team of lawyers know literally nothing about journalism.
That's not true though, right? Like if you have certain thing and you can trace it back somewhere with a paper trail, but there is nothing more to it than that. What do? Do you sit on it or do you release it? If you don't release it, isn't like you're being selective in your journalism? That's like basically how Fox News and CNN became how you mold your news. Isn't that real journalism is putting that out there? Now, yes, if there is more process to be had, do that. Go through more process. But if there is no process, like this is all we can do. We have certain paper trail that goes to like album maker, right? And this is, this is the Donald Trump related, this and that. We're just going to put it out there like, okay, we found this, this is the source, and this is what we found, without making a creative piece like how CNN and Fox News does and create a narrative. Just putting that out there, that's what newspaper does. Newspaper can't make narrative that much. I mean, they can try, but it's a newspaper. So they put it out there. That is how journalism works. What do you mean? I still don't understand, like, when people say, like, this is not how journalism works. Yeah, this is, if they hold out on it, that would be a problem of journalism.
Charlie Kirk says, this is not how Trump talks at all. I don't believe it. Referring to the actual letter's contents. Specifically, people picked up on the idea that Trump says enigma in the writing of it. In fact, Trump writing at all, some people find that hard to believe. J.D. Vance says, forgive my language,
Trump has gone through shit, man. People are surprised that Trump would say enigma, but then again, 2003, like that was a different time. That was 23 years ago. So, if you see how Trump was speaking 20 years ago, and if you see how he's speaking now, there's a drastic difference, right? If you see like 2010-9 when he was in WWE, compared to now. There is also change in certain pace. Now he says more funnily, like he has this tone where he's jokingly say things. While back then it sounded like his style was same, but he was making more statements than anything else. Nowadays he's like playing the field. So yeah, certain words he's using now as a catchphrases he wasn't doing back then. So he could use the word like enigma in 2003. Why not? People change.
This story is complete and utter bull. The Wall Street Journal should be ashamed of publishing it. Where's the letter? Would you be shocked to learn they never showed it to us before publishing it? Does anyone honestly believe this sounds like Donald Trump? Of course, then you have a response to that where somebody says,
Yeah.
Carson's an enigma to me. This is clearly debunking the idea that the word enigma is not in Trump's vocabulary.
Now, Carson's an enigma to me.
So that clearly debunks the idea that he couldn't have written this because enigma wasn't in his vocabulary.
Okay, how insane people are, like insanely like tuned into people are, that they remember the debates, man. This is like all the way in 2016. Every single shit Trump said, somebody has to remember thinking like, wait a minute, I remember him saying it. Let's go through all the footage. Oh, there you go, that he said enigma. That's an insane amount of memory.
It actually is. So from where I'm sitting, the letter is odd, but it also is in line with some of these other letters from people like Lex Wexner. It's also in line with some of the doodles that Trump has publicly made. And it is also in line with Trump's recent odd behavior with the Epstein files, where he keeps setting up the idea that there's this big hoax coming, that there's phony stuff in there. And that actually is the most persuasive piece of evidence, Trump's own behavior.
You know, the thing is, it could be phony, right? Trump might be involved, but not in a heinous way that you think, like involved. But like I said in one of the past videos, like he might be involved in some way. He might have known things are happening. He might have been involved indirectly, but didn't actually do anything. But he was still like really buddy with Epstein. He knew everything. This is still damaging. Like you're basically with him together and all this shit is happening under you basically, even though you didn't do anything physically yourself. That's still fucked up. So maybe it's like one of those things like, okay, I didn't do things, but I also can't talk about it. Otherwise, people will still get pissed off on me because I was somehow involved in this, right? There is one thing that is like really bad in this whole story, but there are also orbiting around things, which is also bad, but not the main thing, but it's also bad enough to be bad. So Trump could be one of those people. And that's why he was like, you know, like tiptoeing and saying there are phony stuff. Basically, that's like his own thing is coming out. Basically, without even saying it, he's saying like, okay, I didn't do anything, but I'm involved in this. So, you know, people will just assume I'm that type of shit. I don't know.
In this weird meltdown, more than anything which has convinced me, because on the one hand, there are some things which would tilt in the favor of it not being Trump, right? The very fact that it's a letter, the prose of the letter is a bit strange. And then you also have the fact that...
Nah, I'm sorry. Like, Trump loves to write. Trump always loves to write and put signature. Like, today's Trump is very old. He's like reaching 80 now. So it's different in today's Trump. If he doesn't write letters today, it would be different. 20 years ago, yeah, he loves to write. He loves to put his signature on. So I can see him making letters. Like, I don't know why this... do people think that Trump is so illiterate or something that he can't write? What you talking about? Like, you can say many things about Trump, but he can't be that. He was a New Yorker, a multi-millionaire at that point. He had like this reputation. He was he was running TV shows. He owned a lot of things. He loved to sign his shit and say things. So yeah, I can see him making letters. Why not?
Okay, if the DOJ had this during the Biden years, why didn't it come out, right? So that's all pretty compelling until you once again just look at the way Trump has been behaving. I think it strongly suggests that Trump saw something in the Epstein files, was debriefed on something that he was worried about. Whether it was this letter or something else, I don't know. But clearly there's something in those files that he was concerned about being involved with. I think we need a full declassification of these files except for the CSAM and victims. Now, to the
how are you gonna get it? You need two elements in your side if you don't want Trump in your side. You need Supreme Court in your side. Supreme Court is basically pro-Trump because he put them there. But then again, there are many issues where they're like, okay, Trump, shut up. Like, we are here for life. You're gonna go away in 4 years or something. So that is that. So you could get Supreme Court with you. And you need congressmen. Then again, like, those people could be in the list themselves. So would you get them? If Congress is with Trump, if Supreme Court is with Trump, and Trump is Trump, nothing can happen. These are the three pillars of strength you have in your country. Outside of that, nothing can happen unless like people in mass go on street and everything basically get dissolved. And people like start to sweat. Congressmen, Supreme Court, everybody start to sweat. Like, okay, now we have to say, screw you, Trump, we have to release something. So in the end, people's voices are the only thing left, but that's way too chaotic. And at the scale of 300 million people, I don't know how many of you would march that would make, that would matter. I don't know what that means. In smaller countries, it makes sense. If you're a big country like USA with 300 plus million people, I don't know. Like, you need Congress people, you need Supreme Court with you, then Trump alone can't just flex. See, Obama showed one thing, like president's power has a limit. Because during Obama's time, like a Supreme Court, a lot of Supreme Court justices were like Republican and didn't like what he was doing, a lot of things. A lot of congressmen, basically all of them were against him. Right? So he was constantly like, he barely could do anything before people just clamping down on him. Right? That's why he was like bombing the shit out of a lot of places, even though that's not what left-wing people do. Just to please people, please congressmen and shit like that.
Classifying comment. Donald Trump, based on this, has posted, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked AG Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam should end right now. And Pam Bondi has said, President Trump, we are ready to move on the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. I think that ultimately it needs to be everything or nothing. You can't give a little bit at this point. Happen. With the level of allegations being leveled against our president, that he would send pretty incriminating letters to the world's most...
See, this is the fucked up thing. Trump can save himself and like redact a lot of shit that he's involved in and still release everybody else's list. But there is an element there that maybe everybody's list he would release, they have evidence of Trump. So it's like a nuclear bomb type of thing. Deterrent. If you release, I'm going to release. Otherwise, Trump would have redacted himself by now. That's still not justice. That's still not fair if Trump is involved in this. But at least you get other 99% of people apart from Trump. But even there, like I said, like mutual destruction shit might be there. So he might protect all of them. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Notorious pedophile. Now, again, before he was arrested the first time, right? But given the letter's contents, given that they're doing so much, they're going to be suing the Wall Street Journal over this. To deny it, I think, if it turns out to be true, is devastating. I mean, totally devastating and horrific, and no one should defend it if it's true. And that's what we need to find out at this point. So I think the answer is clearly that, yes, I would love the Wall Street Journal to release this photo if they have it in their possession, if they can release it from their source. And I would love for the DOJ to declassify the actual relevant pieces of this whole thing, because the absolutely central piece of evidence in this whole story are these letters, which are in a leather-bound album and supposedly in the DOJ's possession. That's clearly not going to be a grand jury transcript. That's going to be one of the pieces of evidence they collected from Epstein or Maxwell. And so that is a different category altogether. So I think given that, it's hard to see this as anything other than a distraction from what is actually relevant here, which is, does this album exist? Yes or no? Show us the evidence, right? Show us the physical evidence. Instead, this is just going to get people riled up because it's an Epstein release, but it's...
Is it just me? Look at his eyes and things. I'm sure he's on something or whatever, but like that's like every time I see it, like, oh my god.
Guaranteed by definition not to have the evidence one way or another. A transcript is not going to have a piece of physical evidence. And we need to demand answers on that, because either it exists or it doesn't. And if it does exist, that's a huge problem. If it doesn't, for the Wall Street Journal, that's a huge problem. And I'm really not sure which we are going to get first. All I know is that if you are looking from the outside, I would highly recommend that you don't just dismiss things based on a quick, hot Twitter take. There's a lot to this story that is corroborated.
I mean, seriously, like, I don't get the extreme type of people in my comments usually. But when this story is about, like, I see a lot of Trump defenders. Nobody's like throwing Trump under the bus. He's the most powerful person on the planet. Right? This is not one of the things that people are attacking him on. This is a real tangible thing. Just release the file if you're not in it. His own base wants this. This is not about attacking Trump, man. Come on, like, this is insane, right? Even Asmon is basically one of those people who like turning against this. Like, You called him pro-Trump once, and now like what, he's not pro-Trump. This is the problem. Don't put people into groups, and don't put yourself in the group where you have to defend people point blank.
And also we need more evidence on before we can really make up their mind. I see a lot of people have just already written it off as completely true or completely false. I think they're not thinking through the implications of, if this is true, how really crazy it would be if we live in that world. And then also the people who are dismissing it as...
It's not about crazy. Look, man, fucking hell. Clinton got impeached because of a blowjob. In terms of harm, adult person, in the world of harm, there wasn't much of a harm, but it's a president, he was in Oval Office. That alone wanted to say enough for him to get impeached. If this shit turned out to be true, Trump has to be impeached. Because otherwise, what precedent have you set? Clinton, it's just one blowjob is enough to like, okay, and Trump could be involved in this shit and he's fine. You can't let that shit go. Right? That's just insane. That just shows like from 99 to 2025, shit has like morally changed. That's what you're showing if you do that.
As false right away, you're not really thinking through, like, you might be defending a right?
Yeah, exactly. This is too big. You can't even compare this to like Clinton blowjob, whatever. Right? Now you could say, Clinton might be in the list. That's not what he was impeached for. He was impeached for like BJ, basically. By an adult, consenting adults, and that was enough for an impeachment. Are you kidding me?
That is one of the outcomes that could be true here. We don't know, and again, even if it is true, we don't know what is meant by things like "may every day be another wonderful secret."
Yeah.
When calling Jeffrey Epstein a pal, we wouldn't know what that meant, but yeah, it's just stunning. So this report, you absolutely have to watch it. We're going to have a lot more in the coming days.
Look, man, here's the thing. Like, yeah, you can't say much from this. People can give letters of any kind. This is like a privacy level thing is here. Like, if it's a personal letter to somebody and there is nothing incriminating in this one, they're just saying shit with each other. You can't say much based on that. You can't make up your mind based on that. But it is something on the nose. Like, why are you saying it like that? Type of thing. But yeah, that's the problem. People say like, this is not much. Yeah, but we are asking for much. Give the evidence. Get the list out. Do something. People are not doing it. They're not releasing it. So people are like grasping at straw at that point because straw is the only thing they have left. They don't have anything else left. So of course they're going to do that. All right, well, I'll see you next time.